Well, we'd like to begin as my mic is almost there,
Not yet there.
just warming up.
Testing, testing.
Hello.
Testing.
There,
Oh, there we go.
So we're on. Okay, it's 4 o'clock. We welcome you June 4th. I'm way ahead of myself. 2024, 2 days away from perhaps one of the greatest days in history. And just hopefully you're prepping up for the thoughts related to D-Day. But in the meantime, we welcome you to the Washington County Board of Commissioners meeting. We're on a tight schedule tonight, so if we speak quickly, you'll know why. Having said that, first, Laura Fairchild of the Baha'i Faith. We'd love to have you come up, and I've known Laura a long time, from City Council days too. Grateful to have you with us for our invocation.
Thank you, and it's always a pleasure to come. This is a prayer for all of us today. My God, my adored one, my King, my desire, what tongue can voice my thanks to thee? We were heedless, thou didst awaken us. We had turned back from thee, thou didst graciously aid us to turn towards thee. We were as once dead, thou didst quicken us with the water of life. We were withered, thou didst revive us with the heavenly stream of thine utterance, which hath flowed forth from the pen of the All-Merciful. O divine providence, all existence is begotten by thy bounty. Deprive it not of the waters of thy generosity, neither do thou withhold it from the ocean of thy mercy. I beseech thee to aid and assist us at all times and under all conditions, and seek from the heaven of thy grace, thine ancient favor. Thou art, in truth, the Lord of bounty and the sovereign of the King of eternity. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Wonderful. Appreciate that, and part of our wonderful Interfaith Council. Thank you. Next, we'd like to have our Pledge of Allegiance by Air Force Colonel Brooks Reese from American Legion Post 90. Offer that. Welcome.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Colonel's been here since 2017, calls this home, and we are so glad that you're here. Thank you. Yes. Probably. Next, we have our consent agenda. The consent agenda is a means of expediting the consideration of routine matters. If a commissioner requests that items be removed from the consent agenda, those items are placed at the beginning of the regular agenda. Other than request to remove items, a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda is not debatable.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the consent agenda consisting of the following items. A, consideration of auditor-approved claims for payment for May 22nd, 2024 through June 4th, 2024. B, consideration of commission meeting minutes of May 21st, 2024. C, consideration of administrative adjustment, personal property. And D, acknowledgement of adoption of ordinance number 2024-1256-0 and 2024-1257-0 and 2024-1258-0, 2024-1259-0, published on Sunday, April 21st, 2024, and ordinance number 2024-1260-0 and 2024-1261-0 and 2024-1262-0, published on May 26, 2024. That's a lot of ordinances that we published. But anyway, that's my motion, Mr. Chairman.
And I second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we table Our first item, the presentation of 2023 and review video number 8 for, that's my motion. that we
And I
table.
second that motion.
Motion and a second to remove item number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. Frank Luke, I did not see him come in. We want to present him with something when he's here. Number 3 on our agenda is an employee longevity for Camille Hastings. Clerk auditor, 10 years in that office. Ryan will present. Following her, then Andy Jurgensen, who we talked about for IT, also 10 years. And then Kathleen Brooksby is here as well from the St. George COA, 10 years. If you'll come in that order.
Well, I'm lucky enough to get to spotlight Camille Hastings, 10 years. I had to fight Luke for it. Luke actually has a couple of things he wants to say too, but I'm like, no, I have to say some things about Camille. So when I got here a year ago, it was really hectic, and Camille was like the first person I identified. I'm like, oh, I need your help. You look like you know what you're doing. She was the first person I promoted. She's our senior staff accountant, so she's pretty vital. So in the county, I worked here a long time, and I've seen some bad employees, I've seen some average employees, I've seen some good employees, and then there's some critical employees. I would categorize Camille as a critical employee, because like if she didn't come to work tomorrow, we would all know that she wasn't here. So I listed a couple of the things that she does. She has a task list, no joke, it's 1,000,000 miles long, of things she's in charge of, but she does most of the grant tracking for the entire county. Does a lot with the Dixie Center, did even more when it was still WICA. Helps with the Justice Court. She's the special accountant for the Council of Governments, goes to all of those meetings and keeps track of their budget. Also the Flood Control Authority, she's the accountant for that and goes to after-hour meetings and does some travel for that. She does all of our reporting, which is a lot. And she manages our general ledger. So anyways, I love Camille. I'm glad that she's in our department. She never leaves. But Luke, did you have a couple things? We're just gushing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I get to say something too. Yeah, like Ryan says, she saved us so many times in our budget season. It was nice to just know Camille kind of had our backs and was taking care of all the accounting. And she's like one of the most organized person I've seen, and that's coming from an accountant, so that's pretty good. So yeah, we're really grateful to have her.
Great.
What I like is when you ask Camille a question, she always knows the answer. Like you ask her about an account, she just can tell you. And Camille, you have 10 years with the county. You started off in the treasurer's office, and then you've been about, 5 years in the clerk auditor's office, or?
So I was 7.5 in the treasurer's and about 2.5 in the
2.5. Oh, great.
Glad to have you.
We're glad to have you.
Stay nearby. We're going to take a group picture. Andy, would you come up now? You're the department head, so nobody's here to praise
Can I say
you.
something about Andy? I
Are
didn't know
you
this was
okay?
happening.
Come on up,
I don't even
Andy.
have- I don't
Camille,
have
don't go too
prepared
far.
remarks.
Pardon me, I need to hear about Andy from.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I know a lot of people don't know this, but aside from being the director of IT, Andy is what I would consider our tax admin. That's a huge job, which generally isn't in the IT department in other counties, but it's kind of just a carryover from his predecessor. But he's taken so many processes that were old and outdated and made them current, and like the assessment role wouldn't get pushed up into our tax admin system without him. He does all the reconciling. We're talking billions of dollars that this guy helps get down and reconcile to the nearest dollar. So, I mean, it's a huge deal, the role that he plays, even with tax rates and
Good
all the
job.
funding and revenue for a lot of entities, not just Washington County, but all the entities in Washington County.
Thanks, Ryan.
You want to say something for yourself?
I got nothing to say.
Stan-
Oh, wait, I think I'm critical on using that same. I want to say I'm critical.
Yeah.
Stand by Camille for a second. Kathleen, come on up. Thanks, Jacob.
I was thinking a little bit earlier about this exciting opportunity I get to talk about Kathy. Kathy's celebrating 10 years with the county. She was a Meals on Wheels driver for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and then now she is a caseworker and a social worker for that. So she gets to go into the homes of every person that is on Meals on Wheels in Washington, in St. George, and a little bit into Washington and Enterprise. She drives off the Enterprise. So she gets to drive all the way around here. If you were to ask me how to describe Kathy, I'd say the most energetic, empathetic, and just really, really great gal. She's the first to volunteer whenever we need a judge for a Halloween costume, or if we need somebody to dress up in an Easter bunny, if it's fun, Easter bunny costume. She'll go downstairs and run around in an Easter bunny costume, and she just is a joy to our department, and I'm just so lucky to have her.
Thank you.
Kathy, do you volunteer Carol to come on up with you and be a part of your...
And have him say everything good about me.
I thought you dressed him up as the rabbit. Glad to have you all here. We're going to come down, and if you want to say something, Kathy, please do. Interrupt.
You know, when I first started doing Meals on Wheels, it was a new adventure for me. And I realized early on that it's more than just taking food to the door to these people. I love it. I just absolutely love the people.
Thank you.
And I feel that the Meals on Wheels program is a godsend for so many people, because we do something for people who can't do it for themselves. So,
Well said.
yeah.
Good. Well, we're going to come down and get a picture with all of you.
Oh,
Okay?
Yeah, we'll go right here.
Front and center. I'll come around by that.
Hold on, I just hear that's Nate's dad? That is Nate's dad. Well, we could have said a lot more.
Yeah. All righty. Well, we appreciate again you being here for that. We have some purchase requests that Ray's going to buzz through. If you would come up, Ray, and do that for us, that'd be great.
Sorry about that. Okay. The first one here is the first couple are for the roads department. This first one, we do this every year. We purchase 2 new graders and trade in 2 like on a buyback program. This year, these 2 cost $390,000 each, but we're trading in 2 older ones for $375,000 each, which makes our bottom line $30,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then to prepare for our chip seal projects this year, this next one is for crack seal to prepare for that for 12 miles in the Dameron Valley area. This is $70,000. The next one is for the Shooting Sports Park. This is for rock cinders to fix the road to the Purgatory Clay venue. They are gonna pay almost half of this. They're gonna pay $9,127.02, and we're gonna pay $9,999. The next one is some leftover fair expenses. This is for all the rental equipment that was used. There's telescopic booms, loaders, skid steers, light poles, all kinds of equipment on here that were needed. This came to a total, and it was used for all the entertainment, derby, rodeo, concerts, whatever. And this came to a total of $35,518.07. The next one is for our tourism department. This is the Ironman race recap video for $12,500. The next one is for the weeds department. Every so often we need to buy supplies and chemicals to spray the weeds. And this came to $15,325.70. And the final one is for some fencing around the historic well by this building. And the cost includes the installation of that. This is $15,895.
Part of that's a safety issue too, that last one. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, all these items have been budgeted for and they're just coming before us because they're over the value, over $10,000. I move that we approve the purchase request as presented by Ray.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second on those requests. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you,
Thank
Ray. Next, we have a consideration of the ordinance number 2024-1263-0, an ordinance rezoning a certain portion of Washington County located at approximately 550 West, 1400 North in Dameron Valley from the RA5 zone, residential agricultural 5-acre minimum lot size, and RE20 zone, residential estate 40,000 square foot minimum lot size, to the RA 2.5 zone, residential agricultural 2.5 acre minimum lot size, hereinafter fully described in this ordinance. The application is Washington County staff. Scott.
Yes, Commissioners, we've we've had other zone changes that we've done that have been staff initiated. You know, normally the government doesn't go around rezoning people's property, but what we have in the unincorporated areas of the county, there are older parcels, there's a lot of lot splits, or parcels were split up for agricultural uses but never went through the zone change process. What we have here is we have 4 lots that were in the Canyon Trails at Dameron Valley and Dameron Valley Ranches subdivision, and they're highlighted in red. So these lots were split up illegally at some point by previous owners. And so because the lots don't meet the minimum lot size requirement, they can't get a building permit for them to build anything on the property. And so we're not going through the amended subdivision process for them, but we're trying to bring them into zoning compliance so that they could get building permits, do additions, or build an accessory building in their, like a shed in their yard. And so we are proposing to rezone those properties to the RA 2.5 zone. And that would bring all of those lots into zoning compliance. Planning Commission reviewed it, held a public hearing is required, and they unanimously recommended approval.
And I see that they have homes on them right now, right? They've
Yes.
been built, so.
Major
Just-
cleanup.
Yep, just to clean up. Well, with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2024-1263-0, an ordinance rezoning a certain portion of Washington County located at approximately 550 West, 1400 North in Dameron Valley from RA 5 zone, residential agricultural 5-acre minimum lot size, to RE 40 zone, residential estate 40,000 square foot minimum lot size, to the RA 2.5 zone, residential agricultural 2.5 acre minimum lot size, hereafter fully described in this ordinance. Applicant is Washington County staff, and that's my motion.
I second the motion.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Item number 6, consideration of ordinance number 2024-1264-0, an ordinance rezoning a certain portion of Washington County located at approximately 1500 East, 2000 North in New Harmony from the OSE 20 zone, open space conservation 20-acre minimum lot size, to the A20 zone, agricultural 20-acre minimum lot size, and the A10 zone, agricultural 10-acre minimum lot size, hereinafter fully described in this ordinance. Applicant is also Washington County staff.
So again, this is cleanup. Sarah, if you're all right going to the, you can see those lots that are highlighted in red. They're up on the north end of New Harmony area near the Prince subdivision. These parcels been around for a long time. They are zoned OSC, which is open space conservation, 20-acre minimum lot size. Not only do they not meet the size requirement, but open space conservation doesn't allow for any buildings to be built on it. And there's already existing homes on some of those. So again, it's cleanup. Don't know what happened in the past or how we got to where we are, but we're wanting to help those property owners come into compliance. And so we're doing staff-initiated zone change.
Okay, thank you. Call for the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve ordinance number 2024-1264-0, rezoning a certain portion of Washington County located approximately 1500 east, 2000 north of New Harmony from the OSC 20 zone to the A20 zone and the A10 zone hereinafter fully described in the ordinance.
Okay, is that your motion?
That was my motion.
I'll second that motion, by the way.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you.
Thank
Leslie,
you.
coming up for the trails issue. Certain consideration of ordinance number 2024-1265-0, an ordinance adopting the Southern Utah Regional Trail Standards as part of the Washington County Transportation Master Plan, which is an element of the general plan.
Yeah, so if you could put up the title page. So St. George City was able to get a grant, federal grant, to hire a contractor to help this area look at paved trail standards. This is specific to paved trails. And the county helped with some of the matching funds for that. And we had the county, we had St. George, we had Santa Clara, we had Ivans, we had Lubercan, we had Springdale. We had everybody represented for a portion of this and all of it, and came together for a contractor and wrote this regional trail standards guideline. The intent being that communities could adopt it and use it to help as they're building new trails, as they're refurbishing trails, as they're looking to plan trails. It gives signage, it gives dimensions, recommendations based on different circumstances. And then a user experiencing our well-connected trail systems from one region and managing entity to another will have a consistent experience, and there'll be a consistent quality and a consistent signage and information for them. And that was thought to be a very positive thing by all the communities around here. So this is just within the last 2 months that this has come out, and we can run through as much of it as you would like or as little, but we're proposing that Washington County adopt it as the default standards guideline for paved trails, particularly as any developments or things are proposed that come under the guidance of our transportation plan and active transportation plan.
Leslie, my real,
Our trails are connecting city to city to city, so.
yeah. I guess my real question is, so this is for our paved hard surface trails.
Paved hard surface
So
trails.
that if somebody in a subdivision is going to put a trail in, we would know what standards to give them and ask them to implement, or that was the standards they should build it to. So
Exactly.
it doesn't have any standards for other types of trails.
Not for anything other than the paved trails.
Paved trails. Well, very good. I think it's important that we have something because this does come up. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt item 7, which is consideration of ordinance number 2024-1265-0, an ordinance adopting the Southern Utah Regional Trail Standards as a part of the Washington County Transportation Master Plan, which is an element of the general plan.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Thank you, Leslie, for your work. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Thank you again. Scott, another one. Consideration of resolution number R 2024-3311, a resolution approving a professional service agreement with Shums Coda Associates, Inc. to provide building inspections and plan reviews for Washington County, Utah. Not forever.
Correct. Yes. With having good employees, sometimes we lose good employees. They're sought after, and private sector has stolen one of the building inspectors from community development. And we also have a building official that has been with the county, I think, since it was created. And he is looking to retire. And so as we work on this transition right now.
No, hold on. Kurt looks pretty young.
Oh,
We
it's
just
a
celebrated
compliment to Kurt.
170 years.
He looks really good for 170.
He really
Yeah.
does, he really does.
Sorry about that. Anyway, we are, as we're working on this transition and hiring new individuals to come in, we have a contract with Shums Coda to do inspections for us and to help us. There's different requirements and a level of service that we want to maintain as a county and also put on us by the state. And so we want to make sure that we're meeting that.
Good. Well, we definitely need this. And so, Mr. Chairman, with that, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2024-3311, a resolution approving a professional service agreement with Shums Coda Associate, Inc. to provide building inspection and plan reviews for Washington County, Utah.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay,
Scott,
thank
thank
you.
you. Next, item 9, consideration of resolution number R-2024-3312, a resolution appointing members, or a member, to the Habitat Conservation Advisory Committee. Justin Sipp, Mayor, term which would end June 4th, 2028. Mike. And should we recognize Mike for his
George Award.
recipient, the second recipient of the George Award for outstanding service to your department, and only proving it out as you're here representing Cameron, and
I'm just
do a great
disappointed
job.
that you didn't carry the George Award with you.
Oh man, you're right. I should have.
So any of your fellow employees could also envy you and,
I'll start carrying it around everywhere I go. Yeah,
That's
starting tomorrow.
We talked about this. You were just going to call out George Award whenever, anybody
Oh, I've
challenges
already
you.
started doing that. Don't
That's
worry.
good. That's good.
Trust me, I was getting there. Just well, no, thank you. And it sounded like Commissioner Almquist already covered this pretty well. But as you mentioned, Mayor's Association has appointed a new member to serve on the Habitat Conservation Advisory Committee, and that is Mayor Justin Sipp, and that is replacing Washington Mayor Cress Staley. And so just wanted to say welcome to Mayor Sipp and thanks to Mayor Staley for his time on the HCAC. And that's pretty short and sweet. That's all I got for that item.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution R-2024-3312, a resolution appointing member to the Habitat Conservation Advisory Committee, namely Mayor Justin Sipp, with a term ending June 4th, 2028.
and I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. For the next one, I'll read the record, item number 10, consideration of resolution number R-2024-3313, a resolution approving a cooperative agreement with the UDWR for Raven Management Funding.
All right, and I think Cameron came and spoke to you about some of this maybe a couple months back, but I'll take a little bit longer, just give everyone a background that maybe doesn't know much about this. So with the Washington County Habitat Conservation Plan, or HCP, since 1996, we've managed a take permit for the threatened desert tortoise in Washington County. And that does help to facilitate development on private land while also protecting habitat for tortoises and other wildlife in the Red Cliffs Desert Reserve. We are funded from impact fees paid by developers, which includes funding tortoise conservation efforts in the county. In recent years, we've been studying ravens, which are a major predator, as some of you know, to desert tortoises, particularly the little guys, the juveniles. And it turns out, based on the studies that we've been doing and our population surveys, that we do have a lot of ravens here in Washington County, and likely too many to sustain our tortoise population in the long run. So with that, after years of study and coordination with some of our federal partners, Earlier this year, the Fish and Wildlife Service applied for and were granted a raven depredation permit, in which we, with Washington County, are a sub-permittee to that permit. So this allows for raven control measures to be implemented and to start hopefully reducing their populations is of course the long-term goal. Studies from other states have found that egg oiling has been the most effective and least controversial method to reduce their population. So what that essentially is, if you can get to the nest and actually apply a coat of oil to the eggs, those eggs are essentially suffocated and prevented from hatching. So basically a raven birth control method is what that is. And so the advantage with that is the adult ravens will continue to stay on the eggs and after they're oiled, and by the time they realize they won't be hatching, it's generally too late to lay a second clutch. It's just too hot, the conditions aren't right for it. So it's really effective in reducing raven populations. So that's a little bit of that background info, and actually this springtime we began these egg oiling efforts, and our initial results were really successful. We did end up oiling 12 nests and 64 eggs, despite in spite of some challenges we ran into, and actually our plans to hire a drone crew ended up falling through due to just some logistical issues that we had with that crew that we were going to hire that was based out of California. So instead, the eggs were accessed by, and the nest sites were accessed by rappelling into the nests. Most of these efforts, we actually worked with Damien with Greater Zion, Damien Bradbury, and he is an experienced rock climber who joined our staff out in the field for those efforts. And our ability to reach those nests by rappel this year actually significantly ended up reducing the costs, much lower than we anticipated. We only spent about $1,000 roughly on equipment, which is much less than the total cost that we had anticipated when Cameron came to you a couple of months ago. Now, we are looking to continue with these egg oiling efforts next year, and we do actually expect some increased cost during 2025, because if we can get that drone crew out and possibly hire additional climbers, we think we're going to be able to really double down our efforts and oil a lot more nests if we're able to do that. So to help cover those increased costs, and I think this goes right to the agenda item, Washington County HCP, we applied for, and we've been rewarded grant funding through the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources, UDWR, Endangered Species Mitigation Fund, with an amount up to $12,000. These funds will be primarily applied to those egg oiling efforts that I mentioned, but there's also flexibility to use them for other forms of raven management. These costs will be reimbursed to us from UDWR upon the completion of the project. We are looking to apply up to $12,000 of additional funds coming from our adaptive management budget to match that reimbursement amount, essentially, from UDWR. And we believe that this gives us an excellent opportunity to oil many more nests next year than we did this year, especially with some lessons that we learned during our first round this springtime. One example of that is that we started finding eggs in nests a little bit earlier this year than we anticipated, and so next year we'll likely start these efforts a few weeks sooner, and hopefully that helps us to get more nests. So that'll just be an example of just some lessons learned first time doing it. So that kind of summarizes everything really well. We're grateful to have secured these grant funds. We really think it's going to help us out a lot with these raven management efforts. And I think that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you,
Chairman,
Mike. Appreciate it.
I move that we approve Resolution R 2024-3313, a resolution approving a cooperative agreement with the UDWR for raven management funding.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second on that item number 10. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Commissioners. Appreciate it.
Great.
Appreciate you.
Your
Thank you.
presentation. Item number 11, a resolution number R 2024-3314, approving a Utah Outdoor Recreation Grant Agreement for funding Phase 2 of the West Mountain Trail System. Leslie.
Pleasure. So the West Mountain Trail System is a new mountain bike trail system on BLM off of Highway 91. on West Mountain, so south of the Shivwitz Reservation line and just north of the Beaver Dam Wash NCA boundary in there. And it's a partnership between the BLM and Trail Alliance of Southern Utah. They got funds through a state grant for phase 1. So there's an upper portion and a lower portion. The lower portion is built. It's flow trails and things. The upper portion is under design and will be a downhill that'll be built this fall. The county partnered with the BLM to apply for phase 2 funds, specifically funds to build the trailhead for this system, including a kiosk, bathroom, the grading, road base, fencing, all of that. And we were awarded that grant. So this is to approve the contract between the state Outdoor Recreation Grant Office and the county for access to those funds.
Very good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Leslie, for everything you do and putting trails in our county. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2024-3314, a resolution approving an outdoor recreation grant agreement for funding Phase 2 of the West Mountain Trail System.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, Leslie. Perfect.
Thanks.
Item 12, consideration of resolution number R-2024-3315, a resolution approving an addendum to the Heritage Catering Agreement for food services at the Dixie Center. Jared.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I represent the Dixie Convention Center, as you know. When you guys hired me, I told you I'd cut costs and increase revenue, and that's what these addendums do. So they're addressing agreements that we have with our third-party contractors, Heritage Catering, and this next one will be with Precision Productions. This first one with Heritage Catering is very simple. We have an agreement with them that anything they do outside, any outside sales they do outside of the Dixie Convention Center, we get 20%. Last year, that garnered a whopping $3,600. After consulting with them, they have said that, you know, the incentive's not there. The profit margin just isn't there to do anything outside at 20%. So I said, what would you be okay with lowering it to 10%? Is that enough incentive to get you to go do outside sales? They obviously agreed because it's more money in their pocket. And even if they just did 1 or 2 more medium-sized events in a year, it's going to double that revenue line item. And this addendum is simply for 1 year to see how it works, and that's all we're changing with their agreement.
Very good, Jared. We do appreciate everything you're doing at the Dixie Center. I also appreciate you setting a good example for Commissioner Snow by wearing your tie.
Jared, we're going to talk about that tie.
No,
It's my bright orange.
It looks good. It looks good. I feel guilty for not wearing a tie today, but not very.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution R-2024-3315, approving an addendum to the Heritage Catering Agreement for food services at the Dixie Center.
And I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 13, consideration of resolution number R-2024-3316, a resolution approving an addendum to the Precision Productions Agreement for audio-visual services at the Dixie Center.
Okay, so this addendum extends Precision Production contract for another year. It was up on May 31st, and it also makes a few adjustments. Currently, all of the gross revenue is there's a single split, 75-25, 75% for all AV rented at the Dixie Center. 75 goes to Precision Productions, 25% goes to the Dixie Convention Center. As an example, in the first 3 months, our first quarter, we grossed $150,000. So $112,000 went to Precision Productions and $38,000 went to the Dixie Center. However, the majority of what we rent at the Dixie Center is Dixie Center owned equipment. It's Washington County projectors, screens, microphones, sound systems, and Precision Productions provides a labor source, or in the industry what we call room support. Somebody's there just to plug in the microphones and make sure that it works during events. Because the majority of what we rent there is Dixie Center's equipment, it makes a lot of sense to alter that gross revenue split. So what this addendum does is most of the operational responsibilities are going to remain exactly the same, but it just addresses that revenue split. So for everything that Precision brings in addition to the Dixie Convention Center equipment, meaning pyrotechnics and all the additional lights that Washington County doesn't own, he will get 90%, and we will get 10%, and that will still allow him to be called the preferred AV provider of the Dixie Convention Center. And then for everything that happens inside with the things that we rent, our equipment, it's going to be a 60-40 split. 60% will go to the Dixie Center, 40% will go to Precision Productions for providing that labor source. So if we were to template that with our first quarter, it would double the revenue the Dixie Convention Center received, and Precision Production, we'd each end up getting around $75,000. So that doubles our revenue. This also puts us in a position in the future, especially if we expanded in a few years, that we could actually hire an in-house AV technician and more than double our revenue. Because of that $150,000 in our first quarter, about $100,000 of that was Dixie Center owned equipment. So if that was all in-house, we'd literally have $60,000 from that first quarter to hire a full-time AV technician and still get the same amount of revenue. And then the preceding 3 quarters, all that revenue from the Dixie Center owned equipment would just be on top of that. So it's, even with this addendum for the next year that I'm proposing, we're going to double revenue, and potentially after next year, depending on what we decide to do, we could even increase it more than that.
Okay. Well, thank you for your presentation. I happened to be the other night at an ecclesiastical event, and none of the AV worked at all, and everyone just started at the top of their lungs trying to say their message. So I saw that at the Dixie Center. I don't want to go back to that. So if you can guarantee that, then...
Yeah, you definitely have my guarantee that AV will work over there.
All righty.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve Resolution R 2024-3316, approving an addendum to the Precision Productions Agreement for audiovisual services at the Dixie Center.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Jared. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jared.
Good job. Item 14, consideration of resolution number R 2024-3317, a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding with Washington City for animal shelter services. Barry.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Thank you, Undersheriff.
This is pretty straightforward. Right now, we're capacity on both of the shelters that we currently contract with. As of yesterday, they were full. I wanted to come here publicly to thank Washington City. They're full a lot as well. But when I reached out to them, they opened their shelter doors and said, we'd be willing to take you. So this particular MOU is a kind of needs-driven overflow. If we don't have room at mainly the LeBurkin shelter, we'll reach out to Washington City to see if they can help us out.
So this is my question, Barry. Is this in addition to the Ivan Santa Clara contract?
No, it's separate.
But I mean, are we
Still
keeping that
exists.
contract, and then this is kind of our...
Yes.
Okay.
To answer your question, right now we're renewing the Santa Clara Ivans with the new chief, and I believe it's due for an update, so that will be coming through.
So
pretty
we'll
soon.
basically have a contract with Santa Clara Ivans, Washington, and LeVerkin.
Correct.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Well, with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2024-3317, the resolution approving a memorandum of understanding with Washington City for animal shelter services.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 15, consideration of resolution number R 2024-3318, a resolution authorizing an opinion question to be included in the ballot, on the ballot of the general election scheduled to be held on November 5th, 2024, to determine whether Washington County should reauthorize the sales and use tax of 0.1% to fund recreational and cultural facilities and cultural organizations. Devin.
Yes, Commissioner. So it's hard to believe that this was on the ballot 10 years ago, and it's just about to sunset. And so this resolution would start the process to enact the tax again. So essentially, to reauthorize, it requires the exact same process as county went through before. So this is the initiation resolution. There will be a public hearing and then a general election ballot question, so the voters can make that decision. So this resolution just starts that process. This will come back before you a couple more times, and then ultimately after the election, finally to actually levy the tax at that point. So again, this just starts that process.
The one comment I'd make, obviously this is going on the ballot, and the second thing is that this can either go on the ballot countywide, or it can be put on the ballot by a particular municipality if the county chooses not to put it on. And so, 10 years ago, it was decided that it would be better that the county put it on opposed to maybe just St. George City putting it on. And so that was the reason the county did it countywide. And I think it's worked well, and it will be up to the voters to decide on this resolution. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to propose that we adopt resolution. What is that resolution number?
2024, it's item 15.
Item 15. So I'd like to make a motion we adopt item 15, which is resolution R-2024-3318, as has been read into the record.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Thank you. Literally hundreds of projects have been accomplished in the last 10 years. Maybe we'll get that going forward. So thank you, Deb, for your work on that. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Item number 16, consideration of resolution number R-2024-3319, a resolution approving release documents in connection with the defeasance of the Dixie Technical College bonds.
Commissioners, in the last meeting that you had, you passed a resolution to help with the payoff of the Dixie Technical College bonds. So the county acted as a facilitator basically, on those bonds. The state has now paid those off, and so this is the last item to kind of approve the payoff documents to be completely done with those bonds.
It's done. That's a great accomplishment, thanks to the legislature and other payments.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution R-2024-3319, approving release documents in connection with the defeasance of the Dixie Technical College bonds.
I'll second that motion, Mr.
Motion
Chairman.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I appreciate that, and it's freed up a lot of other funds so they can go back into teaching and holding class.
I will tell you, Mr. Chairman, I always had a little bit of pride that the county came through and stepped through. And as I walked up into the building, because it is the more beautiful building up there, I always felt like, if they ever default, I won't have any problem, taking this building back, as a county. It would have never happened, we know, but it was just in my mind, that was playing out, so.
Don't make your payments.
Yeah, don't make your payments, we can make this county space here.
Well, it's not lost on President Rushton or former President Kelly that it happened because the county stepped up.
Yep.
It's so
It really wouldn't have happened without us.
Well, time moves on. Okay, item 17, a resolution number R-2024-3320, considering the appointing board members to the North Central Fire Special Service District Administrative Control Board. Duncan Reed, Brady Weaver, Raymond Reber, and the terms ending December 31st, 2027. Devin.
Thank you, Commissioners. These are current board members. This resolution would reappoint them. We had a chance to sit down for interviews and really enjoyed meeting Duncan and Rannon. So that's the recommendation that's before you, is that you appoint these three individuals to sit on the board.
Reed, Weaver, and Reber sounds like a law firm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve Resolution R-2024-3320, appointing board members to North Central Fire Special Service District Administrative Control Board, namely Duncan Reed, Brady Weaver, and Rannon Reber, with terms ending December 31st, 2027.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That exhausts our agenda for now. Behind the scenes are our great volunteers who are working to run the cameras and record so that this can be rebroadcast daily on TDS cable channels 22 and 108 HD at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. They're also available on demand at youtube.com/community education channel. Appreciate you all being here.
Mr. Chairman, do we have
a 5 o'clock?
We have a 5 o'clock still, right?
Yeah, you have a hearing set for 5 o'clock, so I'd recommend you could end this meeting, recess for 10 minutes, and come back, and maybe.
Well,
commissioners know-
before we recess then, since we have 10 minutes, we have to wait. Just wanted the record to reflect that there is a public comment period going on for the Northern Corridor supplemental environmental impact statement going on at the Dixie Center tonight. And as well as lots of other things going on. We encourage the public to go on and comment and recognize how we need transportation in the community. We need clean air. Many of the absolute falsehoods that are being said about this road, that it's going to be lined with Mavericks and Taco Bells, is just asinine at best. And because we already have roads through the National Conservation Area, and there are no Mavericks and there are no Taco Bells. There's no commercial or residential activity on them at all. We've done this before. We can do it again, and we can move people. This, as I've said before, we've all said this many times, this was a win-win-win for recreationists, for transportation, and for conservationists concerned about the tortoise. This is just greedy fringe groups who do not want to admit that, hey, it's okay if other people get a win once in a while too. They wanted an exclusive win, I think. So that's going on tonight. We encourage the public to go on and comment. You can find that from our website. We've pushed it out on social media. You can go to the BLM website. But if you click the link, it takes about 30 seconds you'll see the page, and the button to comment does not appear right away. It's not even grayed out. It just doesn't appear. And so they'll say, I have no way to comment. I have no way to comment. And they're looking and looking, and while you're looking, the button will appear. I don't know why there's the delay, if it's a bot campaign or something, but that's what happens. So we encourage, and we hope that the media will write about this, that they will encourage the public to go and comment and tell the Bureau of Land Management why this is a necessary road and how it impacts you specifically. Tell your story. Those comments always get much further rather than just a canned response that somebody copied and pasted.
Well, I think you all also mentioned that we've been discouraged with the flaws in this process, and we gave a letter of intent that we plan to proceed with legal action against the federal government to prove our case in court. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. The Biden administration just took the first step in eventually trying to unwind the Northern Corridor. And just the first step, but already they've done so in violation of federal regulations and policies. And so that's what the notice of intent is about, that we intend to hold them to account. They're not even following their own rules and policies. That's the goal, though, is to unwind Northern Corridor, and we're going to hold them to account.
I think this is the first time in my memory, in the time I've served as the commissioner, that we've officially taken the step to take our disagreements to the court, and I think we'll prevail.
And what we're saying is you don't get to bully Washington County.
Yeah.
You don't get to go around your policies, and you don't get to go around the law, and you don't get to go around the procedures of how this is all supposed to work. And when we play within the rules and then you change the rules, you don't get to bully Washington County. And that's what this first lawsuit, I chose carefully to try and show that the court hopefully agrees with us on that.
And I don't want it to go that far, but if it's Devin in front of the Supreme Court, I'll look forward to seeing you there testify.
We'll be their champion right behind you, cheering you on.
Sounds good, commissioners.
Okay, well, appreciate those efforts on both fronts. And will you be able to actually comment down there today?
Yes.
Okay, so there'll be an opportunity for the public to comment. Appreciate that very much. Well, anything else? For the moment, we'll close our regular Board of Commissioners meeting.